Part 2 of Full Court Press Basketball Debate, March 2nd, 2015. Here's an interesting one that we don't talk about very often, especially about this person in this shed of light. Kevin Garnett, yes, you're hearing me right. Kevin Garnett buys 1,000 tickets and hands them out to Timberwolves fans to come see the game. Yvonne Juno, your thoughts on this?
You have all of your information correct.
Yes, I do.
And he did this not as a promotional stunt.
Maybe he did it as a Maybe he did it to promote him. So what?
No, for a company.
No,
like a
no. He bought
Adidas or
1,000
Nike
tickets
or
with his own
nobody.
money.
Okay. And who put it on the air? How did it come about that it was televised?
He was obvious. It came about because he told the media in an interview. Rumors had started, and they asked him about it at a press conference, and he was like, "Yeah, I did that." So what?
Did he go to the press and tell them, or they asked him?
They asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah."
Then I think that's absolutely wonderful, and that's a side of KG that I did not know existed. I am thoroughly shocked and surprised and a little embarrassed because I didn't think he was that kind of person. I, honest to God, didn't. I thought, and I admit it, I thought Kevin Garnett only cared about Kevin Garnett. At least that's the way he acts on the court.
A lot of times on this show, we've talked about what happens on the court doesn't affect what happens off the court and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always said you can have a person that off the court, they're a loudmouth, they're arrogant, i.e. Richard Sherman, okay? But on the field, Richard Sherman is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, okay? And if you want to relate it to basketball, okay, off the floor, I don't know a person in the world that likes Dennis Rodman, including myself. I don't like Dennis Rodman. I never have. But you know what? On the floor, you couldn't touch that man in the rebounding department. Couldn't touch him.
And you could count on him if you were a player.
This is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett, and I know we had an argument about it the last debate, okay?
We had a difference of
Kevin
opinion.
Garnett is a loudmouth. Kevin Garnett has an attitude. I am not denying that. But this proves to me that what you look like on the court
It's not necessarily what you are like off the court.
right. And this is just let's go beyond that. This is just the ultimate sign of number one, this franchise is headed somewhere. Okay?
Well,
Number two,
it's a total commitment for...
it's awesome. It's just awesome. That's the only way I can describe it.
Well, the only thing that I can surmise from that is that he's awfully happy to be home. That's home.
Yep.
He wanted to go home. This is his way of showing his community and his town that he is so
Yep.
happy to be home. This is a total commitment of generosity.
It is. It's awesome. Because there are those out there that can't afford it. And
Now that's
you know
wonderful.
what? They got to go see a T-Wolves game for free. That's a dream to some people. You know, that's great.
Okay.
Derrick Rose tears his meniscus again. Has surgery.
Same one.
Expect to be out 4 to 6 weeks. The second part to this is that he began rehab the day after the surgery. Let's talk from a basketball standpoint first. Rose being out at this time of year, because this is the time of year.
Yes,
You and I
know.
both know that.
Yeah.
How does this affect Chicago?
Well, it hurts him, of course. It's a double-edged sword. It hurts him because he's such a vital part of the team. Okay? Couple that with the fact that now Butler's out too, which definitely does not
Which is not on here because it came out this morning.
Oh my gosh. What do you mean it came out this morning?
Like the time limit he'd be out came out this morning.
Oh. I was about to say you already know, Jim.
Yeah, the timetable came out this
morning.
morning. That's why
Okay.
I don't have it on here.
Okay. So with both of them out, that's kind of like us having Drew and Anthony Davis out.
Right.
I make that very similar comparison.
Well, that would be like us having Drew and Tyreek Evans out.
Okay.
I mean, you still have an elite big man or two.
Okay. No. I meant their valuableness on the team.
Yeah.
Okay? So, of course, it's going to affect them. All right? Now, the other side of that coin is, boy, are they getting together and playing as a team, even without their leaders, just like the Pelicans are doing without theirs. You got to admire a team like that. You've got to admire a team like that will band together and say, okay, like when we went to see the Pelicans Friday night. Okay, we're without Drew, we're without Ryan, we're without Anthony Davis. But damn it, we're going to win this thing. And they band together and look what they did.
And you know what that starts with? It starts with coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Your coach has to send that message.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I told you off the air, what was it, a week ago? When I came in here on my way to work, I said, you know who I'm the most proud of through all of this? Yeah, I'm proud of the players, but I'm proud of Monty Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could just as easily say, you know what, we're missing our three best players. We're not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what he's saying. That's not what Tom Thibodeau's saying in the Chicago locker room. We got enough players to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they do.
Yeah.
And they're proving it. Are they going to lose some games? Hell yeah, they're going to lose some games.
Of course they will.
Okay, you come in contact like they did on yesterday against a team like the Clippers that has an elite point guard, a Chris Paul, a Damian Lillard, a Rajon Rondo, a Steph Curry, a Russell Westbrook. Yeah, chances are you're going to lose that game because you don't have that equal, okay? But you've got guys beyond that.
Right.
In the Eastern Conference, I'm sorry, y'all, it's so crappy outside of the top 5 teams. I mean,
Well,
it's... Come on.
I was about to say that. You read my mind.
Come on.
You read my mind. If they were in the other conference,
Oh, yeah.
this would be...
They'd still be a top 5 seed, but it'd be much tougher.
Devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Much more
Oh, it's
devastating.
much more stiff competition.
Now, let's talk about what kind of person Derrick Rose
Derrick Rose
is.
begins rehab one day after surgery. What does this show you, Yvonne?
This shows me that he's not going to take it for granted like he did the first time. He is not going to lay back on his laurels and go post for GQ and milk this. I'm sorry, you may disagree with me. You did disagree with me last year. Until...
I disagreed with
well, let me
you on the
finish.
second injury.
Okay,
On the first injury, I was there with you.
I agree. Okay, but when the toe got involved...
That was the first injury, was the toe.
Okay.
Then it turned into an ACL.
Right.
Which was the truth.
Oh, I know he had to
And
have
then it was a
surgery.
meniscus, and now
Right.
it's another meniscus. The
Okay.
same one.
Right, okay. But, even towards the end of the season, you agreed with me that he was not pushing himself hard enough to get back out on that court.
No, I agree.
And help his
Mhm.
team.
No, there was no doubt about it.
Okay. I see a totally different mindset about this one. Okay? Because they made a big deal.
And I'm going to ask
They made
you a
a
question.
big deal out of saying that it was a 15-minute surgery. He walked out of the surgical center with only a slight limp and went directly to the gym
I'm going to
where
ask you
the guys
something
were practicing.
that you always ask me.
Okay?
This change of attitude, what do you attribute that to? You always ask me that question. Now I'm asking you that question because I know what I attribute it to.
Are you going to say the coach?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Because he wants it Number one. And number two, he got a lot of bad press and media last year for as many games as he missed. And number three, desire. And he grew up. I think he grew up some from last year. I think he matured in his mindset from last year, being out so much. And he's got a point to prove now. Because let's face it, this season so far, he's been great. He's been great. The games that he did play in, when they did win, what do you attribute it to?
The fact that when he's on the floor,
It's a whole different team.
and the fact that when Jimmy Butler comes back onto the floor, that this team can win the finals. I've said...
That's what I meant when I said he really wants it.
I've said... But if you're not in a winning position... Okay, like 2 years ago when Rose had the ACL, okay, and we knew he could come back, but Chicago was like 7th or 8th in the East.
It wouldn't have mattered if he wanted it or not.
Come
If
on.
you're not in a position to win it,
Where's the desire? Where's the initiative?
Right, you can want till the cows come
Where's
home.
the incentive to come
Right,
back? Now he's got
exactly.
the incentive because
Right.
they were missing a bit. This is what I had said about Chicago for 3+ years now. Carlos Boozer was great. Joakim Noah is great. Okay, but they were missing a piece, and that piece, and I said it. Carlos Boozer just did not fit the mold. Pau Gasol fits the mold. I said when free agency ended this past offseason that was the best move of the free agency, even over LeBron going back to Cleveland, and I'm sorry, I was right. Pau Gasol's
And I don't know if
effect
I'm jumping
on
ahead.
that team.
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here. Just like right now, Norris Cole's the best thing that could have happened to the Pelicans.
Pau Gasol's impact on that team is one that cannot be measured because it goes into the locker room, because it goes into the little things he does on the court, his leadership, his mentality, his mindset, the fact that he's got a ring, the fact that he's been there and done that. He knows it. He knows what it takes to win. It's immeasurable, and the reason Rose is doing this is because the desire is there. Next topic, Chris Bosh released from the hospital and is resting at home.
Oh, I didn't know that. That must have happened in the last 24, 48 hours.
Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know because it's first I hear of it.
It happened about 3 or 4 days ago.
It couldn't have.
It did.
We talked, no, on the way to New Orleans, we talked about him being in the hospital.
Yeah, he's out of the hospital. It happened like 3 days ago.
Okay. And what's the diagnosis?
Well, he's out for the season. He had blood clots.
I know that in his lungs.
Yeah, but
Yes.
they froze them. They're pretty much gone. They have to deteriorate by themselves.
They had to dissolve them, and he's got to pass
The
them.
rest of the deteriorating
Right.
has to occur on its own as a
Okay.
normal organ body process.
Right.
But he's released from the hospital. He's resting comfortably at home.
Well, that's wonderful. Congratulations, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Because that's
it's,
something that can kill you.
It is. It is. God was watching, and hope he comes back next year with a vengeance. Helps that Miami team out because they're surely missing him.
Yes.
And I think if Miami still had Bosh, I think they'd be something to deal with in the East. But this is not about the Miami Heat. This is about Chris Bosh. Get well soon, Chris. Glad you're resting at home. You're a hell of a person, hell of a player. Get well soon. Come back stronger than ever. I mean, what more can you say?
Nothing.
Portland gets by Oklahoma City despite Westbrook's brilliance. This is the famous knee to the head game that happened on Friday night.
Knee to the face.
Yeah. So, it was 115-112 Portland. Very, very, very good game. Russell Westbrook's third triple-double in a row, which we'll talk about separate from this. It's actually the next topic after this one. What, if anything, first part, does this game prove to you, Yvonne?
what a good team Oklahoma City is, despite the fact that they don't have Kevin Durant. I think they play better without KD. I mean,
Big statement.
well, I was about to say something before you interrupted me. I'm not saying that they don't need him, but let's look at the stats. Let's look at the figures. The numbers don't lie.
Okay, do we want to look at team stats or player stats? Because the player stats are better. The team stats aren't.
Of course they are.
The team stats
I
aren't.
mean, he's had 3 triple-doubles with Kevin Durant being out. Of course. And he did what you love to preach about. He stepped up as the point guard and took over, and he's the one who's winning the games. Let's be perfectly honest. You can't make triple-doubles and rack up those kind of points and not be the main contributing factor to winning a game.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that tells me that Westbrook, okay, I'm going to sum it up for you. At the beginning of the season, this was Kevin Durant's team. Now, this is Russell Westbrook's team. That's what this proves to me.
Well, let's keep in mind that OKC lost this game. Okay, first of all.
Okay.
So to me, this doesn't show as much about Oklahoma City as it does to Portland, because there was one point in time in this game that I was watching in the hotel room that it was 62-49 Oklahoma City in Portland. They had a very good grip on this game. And Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge both said, you know what, not tonight. Both of them had 29 points. Both of them had double-doubles in this game. Okay? This game proves to me that any team in the Western Conference that is looking to win the NBA championship this year, you are going to have to go through this Portland Trailblazers team. Because this team is not the same team from last year. They're better. They're more experienced. And let's keep in mind that LaMarcus Aldridge is doing this with a sprained thumb. Okay? Let's not forget that.
Absolutely.
Any team,
Is it still taped to the rest of his hand?
any team that's looking to get through to the championship is going to have to go through Portland. And they're going to have to do it well. Okay? Because Oklahoma City, even without Kevin Durant, is nothing to sneeze at. Okay?
Oh, I agree.
And Russell Westbrook had a triple-double in this game, a monster triple-double, 40, 13, and 11, I believe was the line. Okay? Wow. You know, and for Portland to overcome that, because Portland did it as a team effort.
Ask you a question, Chris. Hypothetical. How much difference would it have made if Kevin had been out on the court?
I don't think they could have beaten Portland that night. Portland just had something going their way. It was their night. They kept hitting shot after shot after shot
They couldn't
after
miss.
shot.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that they couldn't miss. It's that when they needed a big shot, they got it. Every single time. And when a team is playing like that, I believe it's a godsend. I believe that it is truly unstoppable. When Dwayne Wade, was it 2010, that Dwayne Wade hit those 7 straight three-pointers against Boston when we were standing in this room right here, and when he was talking to his hand, that famous game, that's just meant to be. That it is just meant
It's
to
your
be.
night.
It's meant to be. It's a godsend. Somebody is watching you, okay? And somebody is making those shots. Almost making them for you, but it's definitely helping them go into the hoop.
Right.
This was Portland's night. Every time they needed a big shot, they got one.
Okay.
Whether it be from Lillard or Aldridge.
Okay, Chris. How important is Kevin Durant to the team?
Right now, I don't think he's that dang important. Now, come playoff time, I think we're telling a different story.
Why?
Because
What's
I
gonna be
think
the difference?
because I think the threat of Kevin Durant being on the floor, because I've gone on the record and said last year in the playoffs it was Westbrook's team. That's when this started, and I stand by that. But I think a lot of the
No,
reason.
you said it was Kevin Durant's team.
No, I said in fact, we talked about this last debate.
I'm the one who kept saying he needed to get a backbone. He needed to put some muscle on.
I said that
And
in the regular
he needed to
season,
be a bigger
we talked
force.
about this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I said that in the regular season, it was Kevin Durant's team. But I said last week, when we were referring back to last year's playoffs, that it wasn't Durant stepping up in the playoffs. Durant shied away. It was Westbrook
You're right.
that was carrying the team
You're
in
right.
the playoffs.
The intimidation factor
Okay.
kicked in for the playoffs.
So the thing about having Kevin Durant on the floor during the playoffs is that it provides a threat. Okay? That would be like, I'm not going to use LeBron. I'm going to use, let me get a fair comparison here.
You can't say Kobe.
Let me use Derrick Rose. Okay?
I'm not sure that's a good
It is a fair
either.
comparison because we know how unhealthy Rose has been. Okay? Rose at 70% is better than a good chunk of players in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Same thing goes for Kevin Durant. Okay? The threat of Chicago, we know when Rose comes back from this meniscus injury, he ain't going to be 100%. We know that. It never is. Okay?
No.
So he's going to play the playoffs at about 80%. It's a fact. It's just a fact. It's a medical fact. You can't ignore it. There's no way to get around it. Okay? But Rose at 80% is still a big-time threat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting at with this. Come playoff time, the threat of Kevin Durant even being on the floor, no matter what percentage his health might be at, is going to open up the game for everybody else.
Because,
Because other teams know how good he is.
well, not only that, it's an unknown factor. You don't know what he's going to do or how much he's going to produce or perform.
Right, but you know that on any given night, the man can score 40. So you have to make sure, hey, first priority, Kevin Durant.
You have to keep that in first and foremost in your
But
mind.
when a team makes that their first priority, that opens the door for a guy like Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
That opens the door for a guy like Serge Ibaka,
Right.
like Anthony Morrow, like Steven Adams. That's what opens the door. And
Because if you're concentrating on guarding him, or maybe even putting two players
What
on
you
him,
see.
somebody's
Right.
not being watched.
but you see, that's what makes this Portland team so good. When Aldridge is on fire, getting 35 and 10. Okay, let's double team Aldridge. All right, here you go, Damian Lillard.
Yeah,
Here you go, Wesley Matthews.
Right.
Here you go, Robin Lopez.
Right.
Chris Kaman. I mean, come on. That's what makes this Portland team so good. Which brings up question B. In your mind, which team is more dangerous going forward, Portland or Oklahoma City, and why? Again, taking into account that Durant's going to be back. Same question we did with Chicago and the Clippers.
everybody's back and everybody's well
Because
and
Durant
everybody's
is
healthy.
going to return, yes. It's a fact. He's going to return.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would have to say Oklahoma City, but you know, Portland's nothing to sneeze at. I don't know. That's tough.
These are two teams
That's
that
tough.
compare so
They-
well with one
yes.
another because they're in
Well,
the same
and-
division.
Well, not only that. What is weak in one is strong in the other. What is strong in the other, it is weak in the other. That's
As
tough.
tough as it is for me to say this, I'm going to have to say Oklahoma City for one reason.
Why would that be tough for you to say that they're the
Because
stronger?
Portland is so good this year. And because Portland proved something to me in last year's playoffs. Okay? But that was last year's playoffs.
But baby, look at what Westbrook is doing.
That's my point. And look at what Westbrook did last year in the playoffs. And look at where
He didn't
OKC
go into the playoffs with this kind of record.
and look at where OKC has been in the Westbrook Durant era. They've gone to the finals before.
Uh-huh.
This is where I preach experience. Been there, done that. Same core that Oklahoma City has right now faced LeBron in the Heat with LeBron's first championship. Okay? Yes, they got blown out 4-1, but it's a completely different team now. It's more experienced, if anything. Okay? They're better. I'd have to say Oklahoma City. But if Durant didn't come back, sorry. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one.
It could go either way.
It's a tough one. But with Durant back, I'd have to lean a little bit towards Oklahoma City. I would. Because of experience. They've been there. They've done that.
Wow.
Russell Westbrook's last 3 games have all resulted in triple doubles. Yvonne, your thoughts?
Oh my God. What do you want me to say?
I think there's only one thing that can be said.
Awesome.
Yeah, but there's another thing that can be said. He averaged 30 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds in the month of February. And he averaged above those, but rounding it off. Last player to do that was Oscar Robertson. Okay, there are only 2 players in NBA history to ever do that. Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook.
There's still time for him to do a quadruple.
Okay.
There's still time for him to make more triples.
If this guy is not the MVP, then I don't know what MVP means. Because it's consistent.
I know one thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I know one thing, and I was not a Russell Westbrook fan, and you know that. Because I thought he had an attitude, thought he was a smart ass, I thought that he was hogging the ball all last season. Remember that? I will be the first one to say that I was wrong. You heard that, huh?
I did hear that.
I was wrong. And let me tell you something. With Kevin Durant out, if anybody needed to step up and take charge and take over and put points on the board and win games, man, is he doing
Well, let's
the
be
job?
honest. This situation that Oklahoma City's in right now is right up Westbrook's alley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean this guy's the MVP. That's all you need to say.
But let's not forget, he is loving every minute of it.
Of course he is, and why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he?
Because he does have an ego.
Okay, great. 3
And
triple doubles in a
again,
row.
why
You deserve to
shouldn't
have a
he?
little bit of an
That's
ego.
right.
Okay, come on.
By the way, have you seen the new ads?
The new ads of.
He's got his own clothing line
Oh
out.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you seen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rajon Rondo was suspended 1 game
Are we really going to talk about this?
for a shouting match he had with head coach Rick Carlisle. Question A.
No, you're not going to go question A or question B until you tell everybody what happened. For those that don't know.
What appeared to have happened, let's rephrase
Okay,
that,
correct. What we
Is that-
saw from a camera
is that
angle.
Rick Carlisle called out a play and Rondo ignored it and called his own play, which led to Carlisle calling a timeout, which led to a shouting match, which led to Rondo getting benched for the last 20 minutes of the game, in which Dallas lost, and that led to a 1-game suspension. Clear enough?
No. No.
Why not?
Because you've got to say what Carlisle said. You've got to say what the crust of the matter was. They both cursed each other,
Okay.
and they both said things that were totally inappropriate to each
Okay.
other. That was caught on camera that if you watch, you can see.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you agree with this punishment? Why or why not?
Do I agree with him being suspended for 1 game for shouting at the coach?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think the coach should have been fined too.
Completely disagree with this. Because of the simple fact.
They did not act like professionals.
Because of the simple fact that this happens on a daily basis. Players and coaches get into it all the time.
I'm sure they do.
You think Michael Jordan never got into it with Phil Jackson?
I'm sure they do.
Come on.
Do you really think that Phil Jackson ever said to Michael Jordan what Carlisle said to Rondo?
No, I don't. I don't.
I think there should be a certain amount of respect there for coach and player, and for player with coach.
So, your thoughts on the situation?
It's a done deal.
Because I have
It is what it is.
I have a pretty lengthy
Go ahead.
thing to talk about here. Simply stemming from the fact that by doing this, I think Dallas is showing how hypocritical they are.
Explain.
In December, I believe the date was December 8th, day that shocked the world, Boston traded Rajon Rondo to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas gave away what? 4 players?
Yeah.
5 players and a draft pick?
Yeah.
Okay. To bring Rajon Rondo to Dallas. Please follow my train of thought here.
Right.
You trade 5 guys for one.
And
Pretty
then-
lopsided, isn't it?
And then you're going to chew his ass out on the floor for not letting him call plays and correcting him.
Of all people, now let's keep in mind who this guy is. In his rookie season, I repeat, his rookie season, he was part of that 2008 Boston Celtics team.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't just Pierce, Garnett, and Allen.
Okay.
Rondo was the point guard.
All right.
And I'll be honest with you, you go back and watch those highlights, Rondo saved their ass a couple of times.
Okay.
Okay? In his rookie year, he got a ring. I'm sorry, to me that says something.
Okay.
That says something to me.
Okay.
Because how often does that happen?
Okay, he didn't do it by himself.
I know,
I know where
but you
you're
see
going.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay? This guy has been here. At this point in time, it was 25, 26 games with Dallas. Why in the world? It blows my mind. Why in the world would you trade 5 players to get Rajon Rondo
Uh-huh.
to bring him to Dallas because you think that that is the piece you need to get you one last ring for Dirk Nowitzki?
Okay.
Which I agreed with.
Okay.
I loved this move.
Okay.
Because I think Dallas needed a point guard.
All right.
But if I'm going to bring a guy like Rajon Rondo into the fray, for the first 2 weeks or so, I'm going to ease him into the offense.
Into the team, yeah.
No problem. But if by 25, 30 games, enough trust has not built up for him to call plays, because let me say this, that is the core of the point guard's job. We talk about point guards' jobs a lot on this show. Probably a little too much.
Yeah.
It might get a little sickening at times. Okay?
Yeah.
The core of the point guard's job is one simple thing. To run the offense. No matter who's at the point guard position. I don't care if you got a situation like New Orleans right now, where Tyreek Evans is running the point guard spot, and he's not a true point guard.
Okay.
But I tell you what, he's playing like one. Plus some.
Okay, Monty was still shouting out plays from the sideline when we were there Friday night.
That's the type of play New Orleans plays.
okay.
Monty Williams does that with Drew Holiday on the floor.
Right.
Okay? But he's not necessarily calling out plays. That's not necessarily that might look like that's what he's doing.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily what's happening. Okay?
Okay.
He could be saying, "Hey Tyreek, watch out for this."
Okay.
That's what a coach does.
I got you.
Okay. The core of a point guard's job is to run the offense. And the first step in running the offense every time you get down the floor is to call a play.
Because you have to reassess the floor and the situation.
You're correct.
right.
You don't think Rajon Rondo's smart enough to do that by now? Come on. Come on. If you're going to bring Rondo here, at least give him some type of control. Is he the leader of the team? No, and he shouldn't be. That's Dirk Nowitzki's team. That's been Dirk Nowitzki's team for the better part of 20 years. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get any argument in me on that. I love Dirk Nowitzki. I don't like Dallas. I hate Dallas. I hate Mark Cuban. I've been on the record saying that. But I love Dirk Nowitzki. And I respect the hell out of Dirk Nowitzki. And that is his team. But if Jason Kidd can call plays for this Dallas team when he was running point guard, I think Rajon Rondo is capable of calling plays. If J.J. Barea, who, by the way, was the point guard last year for the better part of the season.
I remember.
J.J. And again, this is not a knock on Jose Juan Barea. But if J.J. Barea is given the freedom to call plays, Rajon Rondo should be given the freedom to call plays. Not just because of his name, not just because he has a ring, because he's good. Because he is a true point guard. Because his best ability is passing. He's led the league in assists 4 out of the last 6 years. A guy like that should have the freedom to at least call a play.
And I'm not going to argue with that, and I do not disagree
Which is
with
why I
anything
think
you've
this
said.
whole situation is ridiculous. Should the shouting match have even started? No. But again, we will never know the complete details.
No,
Was Rick Carlisle calling a play?
No.
We don't know.
No, but I...
Did Rondo not see him? We don't know. But I can tell you this. If I would trade 5 players for one, because trading 5 players for one shows me how important that player is right there.
Well, he should be.
Okay. And you're not even giving him the freedom to call plays, and that's his job. So in essence, you're not letting him do his job. See what I'm getting at here?
I see exactly where you're going.
It's ridiculous.
But that's not what this is all about. Are you done?
I guess.
Okay. I look at it in a whole different way. I agree with you. You're going to trade that many players to get one player. I agree with you that he should be able to have the ability to call the plays out on the court and reassess the situation, etc., etc., etc. You know what this was all about? I can tell you what this was all about. You said it a few minutes ago, that one word, respect. That's what this was about. Carlisle, I would bet big money Carlisle called the play. Rondo changed it midstream or on the court. It pissed Carlisle off, and he feels like, you're new on this team. I called the play. I'm the coach. I deserve the respect for you to follow and do what I tell you to do. I think that's what this was all about.
Maybe it is.
And Rondo being Rondo, because we both know he can be a smart ass. Went ahead and did what he wanted to do anyway, and so Carlisle took that like a slap across the face and was totally infuriated by that, which is why he overreacted the way that he did. I think it all has to do with I really do.
But let me turn it around on you. And I'm not saying you're
Sure.
wrong, but let me turn it around on you.
Okay.
If Doc Rivers called a play for Chris Paul.
Okay, wait. No, wait a minute. I got to interrupt you. Do you think Rondo would have done that to Doc?
Let me finish. Because Doc Rivers did coach Rajon Rondo.
Yeah,
Let's
but
not forget
if-
that.
Oh, I hear you. I know. And they got along well. I understand that. But if Doc had really called a play, drawn it on the dry erase board, they went out there on the court, they knew what they were supposed to do, and all that. Do you think that Rondo would have deliberately changed it in midstream?
If he saw something that went against the play that was called, yes, I do. You know why? Because that's his job. So let me get this straight. If Doc Rivers called a play for Chris Paul, and Chris Paul got to half court, because this did not happen on the drawing board. This was shouted out like this. Okay? He probably called out a number. It said, play number 2, or something like that. okay? And Rondo calls out play number 2, okay? If Doc Rivers did that with Chris Paul, Doc shouts out, Chris, play 2. Chris has to shout out, hey guys, play 2, okay? And they're supposed to get in motion, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Chris, coming up the court, sees something in the defense that, oh shit, play 2's not going to work here.
It's not going to work.
Is he not supposed to change that play on the fly? Is that not his job as a point guard? Of course it is. Of course it is. So if Carlisle called a play and Rondo said to himself, man, this play's not going to work, and he changed the play, what's wrong with that? So is it an issue inside Carlisle's own head? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, we don't know what words were exchanged. We don't know if there was
Come
an
on.
actual play that
Come
was
on.
called. We don't know enough about it.
This is not a rookie point guard you're talking about.
So you don't think anything should have happened at all? No punishment, no fine,
No.
nothing. For either one.
This happens. I think Carlisle needs to get off his high horse. You trade 5 guys for 1 and you're not giving him the freedom to call plays? Get off of your high
He's
horse.
the coach of the team.
I don't care. He's obviously not doing that damn good of a job right now. They've lost 4 out of 7 games.
Would you have said something like that to Phil Jackson? Would you say something like that to
Phil
Pop?
Jackson and Greg Popovich have respect for their players. Does Greg Popovich not give Tony Parker the freedom to call plays?
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Did Phil Jackson not give Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan the freedom to call their own plays? Hell yeah, he did. Because he knew how good they were.
You're comparing Rajon Rondo to Kobe Bryant?
I'm comparing the scenarios. I'm not comparing the 2 players. I'm comparing the scenarios. And that's even more testament. Is Kobe Bryant a point guard?
No.
No! But he was given the freedom to call plays. Because he knew how good he was.
Which actually should have made the Lakers point guard pissed off.
Does Rick Carlisle not see how good Rajon Rondo is? Because obviously the front office saw how good he was when they traded 5 players.
No, they're obviously
Come
not
on.
that good. With the record they've got now.
Come on. Part 2's going to end here. Part 3 coming at you next.